In a region increasingly threatened by rising sea levels, storms, and coastal degradation, building resilience is no longer optional. It's essential. We speak with Maria Angelica Sotomayor, Water Practice Manager for East Asia and the Pacific at the World Bank, to explore how the bank is supporting countries in addressing their most urgent vulnerabilities, and how governments in Southeast Asia can better mobilize blended finance and public-private partnerships to accelerate coastal resilience at scale.
Hi Maria, so at World Bank, we want to know, with coastal resilience as a regional imperative, what are the most urgent vulnerabilities facing Southeast Asia and the Pacific, and how is the World Bank prioritizing its support across such a diverse region?
13 of 30 countries most vulnerable to climate change are in the East Asian Pacific region, and 70% of the world's natural hazards have been felt strongly in this region, affecting more than 1.6 billion people. The vulnerabilities are multi-phased, from earthquakes, landslides, floods, recurrent floods, stream floods, and all those compound and are felt even more in coastal areas.
Like Singapore?
Well, I'm not thinking Singapore, but Bangkok, Jakarta, where they are not ready, they're not prepared. So the difference with Singapore is ready, Singapore is prepared. There is a lot of planning, there is a lot of action. So what we've learned is that addressing those issues is not just a technical issue, but you need government coordination at different levels, you need the commitment, you need the communities to be involved. So I can tell you a bit of what the World Bank has done and what we've seen in the region. So one is regional master planning. So I talked in my presentation about the Mekong Delta. It's a master plan to 2050. They try to deal with the issues of salinity and adapt to the new conditions. So instead of fighting the risks to continue to do rice, they are adapting to do coconuts, to do aquaculture, so that they incorporate and instead of fighting these risks and adapt. So that's one. Integrated infrastructure and nature-based solutions.
Yes.
We've talked a lot about it. It's not about green or gray. It's about both. It's about bringing the best of the two worlds to make it work. And we can talk about mangroves to protect coastal protection. Yeah. Then programmatic and scalable financing. So we were very good in doing projects that are 5-year projects, but these are massive investments that require a long-term horizon. So it's not about the work coming together with the government, but we need to really work together, have platforms, and we're moving towards a multi-phased programmatic approach. So we're engaging with governments in a 10-year approach so that we can join forces and know that it's not just this tiny intervention, but that we are there for the long run. It's about data analytics, capacity building. So many times we have the investments there, there's the programs there, but for example, with political changes every 3 years, people who were trained go.
Yes.
So in 2 years, in 3 years, you need to retrain, you need to bring other politicians in, you need to start again. So having a large cohort reaching the community will be there. So if we involve the community, we're investing in the long run. And finally, I think equity and inclusion, as I said, working with the communities, involving those who are there for the long run is important. They know they are part of the decision-making process, and working with them will ensure that at least these people know what are the solutions. They adapt their livelihoods, like I mentioned in the case of Vietnam. So I think this is what it is about. It's working with academia, it's working with other utilities like PUB, engaging with SWA, engaging with the private sector, because these are massive needs. And so no one institution can solve it alone.
It truly takes a village.
It
like you
takes a
said,
village,
yeah.
exactly.
Like all the stakeholders involved.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're moving on to the next question about how governments, right? So in Southeast Asia specifically, how can we better mobilize blended finance, PPPs, the public-private partnerships, to accelerate these investments at scale?
Okay, so as we were saying, it takes a village, and no one government or no one community can do it alone. So having the private sector coming, they have a more of a long-term vision. So they don't have this every 4 years a new major climate changing. They want to do a new plan instead of implementing what they have. So this is something that is very important to work with the private sector. But we found that there are 3 main areas that we need to address to make it last. One is de-risking early stage investments. So some of these investments are huge. The case of the master plans of Bangkok is $12 billion. So we need to sit with them. We have the capacity. We can bring best practices to see how we optimize those. So make it more real, make it simple, chewable, so that it's more feasible to happen, to optimize those. Aligning the incentives with the stakeholders, so including the communities, as we said, and building institutional capacity. Then there is all the financial instruments, bringing climate bonds, bringing investors, bringing foundations, and seeing how to match their bits of the overall program that would speak to foundations. There will be parts that speak to the private sector financing. We can help mobilizing guarantees. We have the IFC, which is our private sector arm, so they can invest, they can help take part of the risk. And one important mechanism is to allocate the risk to the right part. So in this PPP arrangement, it's very important that the private are taking part of the risk, but the public is taking the other.
Yes.
And ensure for that to work well, you need good regulatory systems in place, you need good legislation, you need tariffs, you need certain capacity so that the private sector comes and they can invest because it's not super risky, right? So we help de-risk. And that's where MIGA, our multilateral guarantee agency, they help with guarantees to make it cheaper, or as I said, with the IFC, and of course the World Bank to help with policies, institutions, regulations. And we have the capacity to mobilize others. We work closely with other MDBs. We work closely with foundations, philanthropy, mobilized trust funds. So we can bring experiences from different parts of the world, and that helps de-risking, making it when you know something is less risky than when you don't know, right? So that information also helps to have these sustainable solutions, to make it more easy also for new players to engage.
I appreciate you sharing the factors of the preparedness, right, and the endurance and longevity of such partnerships. You're really seeing it long term and playing it out, and the de-risking part. Thank you so much for sharing, Marie.
In a region defined by diversity and shaped by water, resilience is not built alone. Through regional cooperation, innovative financing, and sustained partnerships, the path forward is clear: to protect lives, livelihoods, and coastlines across East Asia and the Pacific.